All right, well, let's try that liftoff. This is the Old Tube Radio Network.
You may not find us on your TV because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
RADIO, don't you just love it? The Old Tube Radio Network. Trying it yet again on a Saturday evening here, Pacific Standard Time now. It kind of freaked me out when things were getting dark, and I thought maybe I wasn't ready in time, but then I realized that we're not adding an hour or taking an hour away or doing whatever one does to those hours. Hello, my name is Dennis. I will try to be your net controller tonight on the Old Tube Radio Network, where here in Central California, on a Saturday evening, we talk with, check into, listen for, and generally kibitz about the old tube radios, the classic tube radios from 1958 to 1978 in the class, the 11-meter Citizen Band radio service, something we have been doing, many of us have been doing for the last 35 years here on this frequency. And we certainly invite you to join in, if you've got a radio or not, and see what happens. Starting with our shortwave listeners, the way we normally do on the roll call, you don't have to have any numbers to participate. This is not a club. There's no secret handshake. We will not charge you dues, but we do expect you to have fun. So we'll see what happens with that. Let's get started with the OTR roll call. And as I was mentioning before, I've got the, I don't know if you can see it here, I've got the J38 key wired up underneath the paper here. So that is my push to talk. So I think I'm going to have to do I'll be doing the cross-handed thing. I probably need it over on my left hand so I can write with my right hand. I'll see how it works. But it seems to be working better than the foot switch at the moment. Our current 00, are you around, Mike?
Yes, sir. Good evening from what has been successfully converted back from the Radio Morgue into the infamous Radio Lounge, where we have successfully exorcised most of the evil spirits, but we at least have an unpossessed radio working right now, and definitely glowing in the dark. Good evening from the Radio Lounge.
It's glowing in the dark. It sounds good. I'm sure it looks good. And it sounds like it's going to behave and not do anything naughty. You are checked in, and we'll grab you in a page or two. Thanks for getting us started off.
Thank you, sir.
And now I see why I had the foot switch. I forgot how many hands I need to do all this. So let's bring up the S meter. And the radio check-in, if you're watching the replay, you'll be able to confirm that I actually tried to check you in by clicking on the proper items here. And indeed, you might even be able to give yourself a radio check as we go along. Next is SWL number 1, who is out in the cosmic nest, always checking in. We'll go over to SWL number 2, Mr. OBP, who says the sunspot number is 37. Yes, there are spots galore, as it were, compared to 0, the way it's been for months and months and maybe a year or two. 15 meters has been open most every day. 20 meters is looking good. And we're hoping for and have had some conditions here on 11 meters. So what can I say? Go sunspots. Got you checked in, Mr. OBP. SWL number 3. I'm going to get a check-in for Mr. Rob. SWL 4. SWL 5, I will get Ida. Mama Rose, saw her just a couple of days ago, and she said to say hello to all the old tube radio operators and SWLs. SWL 6. SWL 7.
SWL 7 checking in.
SWL7 checking in and checked in. Sounding good as always. Good to have you in the radio room tonight. And if you find yourself next to any of those glow-in-the-dark radios, you know who to call.
Well, I've definitely got some warming up for you now.
Then we jump up to SWL10. Will we be heard over the air tonight in Idaho? I don't know, but I'm sure I can be heard on the video stream, and indeed, Chrissy is checking in and sounding good doing it. Whatever sound one makes as they type on the keyboard to get the proper check-in. Over to SWL 13, and I might add, yet again, the comments seem to not be working. They were associated with Facebook, and I think what has happened is Facebook has figured out how to turn them off, where they think it's some foreign entity from Russia queuing into them, so they've made it very difficult to work. However, comments can be left, and I will see them if you go to the Facebook page, or if you click on the link to the video stream and go there eventually, I will see them as well. Over to SWL 14, SWL 15, SWL 16, shortwave listener 17.
17 checking in.
SWL 17 is checking in, and you are checked in. Thanks for listening in tonight, Eric.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Takes us over to SWL 18, Mr. KDA. I will get Mikey checked in from an earlier Facebook post. SWL 19, the infamous 14047 out of Derby, New York, was in early. I was in early too, so everybody got in. Nobody had to wait outside the front door tonight. Oh, I also missed 16, so I would check in 19. Let me get 16 as well, out of Anoka, Minnesota. I think I called you, and I forgot to mark you down, Charles. He was also in early and got us helped wiring in the J38 key. So now I have this kind of cross-handed thing going on. At least I'm keeping the radio key tonight. Thanks for checking in. Over to SWL 20.
Number 20 here. Check me in. And 29 and 54. Thank you.
All right, well, I'll get all the people there. Maybe I should put the J38 key down on the floor, and I could use it as a foot switch. Although this J38 key, I think I picked it up at one of the local swap meets that actually is going to be happening next Saturday. Here, I think I got this a couple years ago out there. And it's much nicer than the one I've had for well over 40 years, so I would hate to put it on the floor and break it. You are sounding good, Harvey. Got you checked in. Hopefully the condition... That's right. I was going to say, hopefully the conditions aren't too cold in the radio room, but I bet they're wonderful.
I'll tell you what, it's like heaven in here compared to what it would be at the other place. So I'm content with the temperature and everything else. Plus, I can walk into the other room and relax, or just relax back here. It's just fine. Okay, I'll get back to you after a while.
And I will be around here somewhere. Good deal. All right, we definitely would want to hear you tonight. This is the Directed Net roll call. Real radios will be keying up and following the roll call here tonight. Who is on the list? Over to old2radio.net. Up here on stage, of course, Derby, New York, Anoka, Minnesota. Stations from Fresno, Squamish, BC, is in and listening, waiting for the skip to happen, doing what they do. Hello to Dallas, Texas, Centerville, Virginia, coming up to you. Woodward. We have a Woodward Park here in Fresno, and I always misspeak when I say, go to say Woodland Park, Colorado, or maybe you are close to it. The ISPs sometimes don't show up exactly where you might be. Albury is listening in. The unknown SWL, there are a few of you tonight. I see you up in the balcony with the paper bags over your head. Is it Penticton, British Columbia? We've got Leyland. I don't know where that is. Let me pop in and see what Leyland is. Where is Leyland? Just outside of Buckshaw Village, down the street from Farrington Moss and around the corner from Lock Stock Hall, where it is probably early in the morning, early Sunday morning. Thanks for checking in with the Old Tube Radio Network here in Central California. Somerville, South Carolina, Dallas, Georgia, and Canby, Oregon. Speaking of South Carolina and the Wasama Swamps, Mr. JT, DD21, who was on, what were you on tonight? Let me bring up the replay. It was on a Pierce Simpson, and it had a really cool bass power supply. I'm going to see if I can get a replay of old Radio Night, which if you haven't been checking into that or listening to it from wherever you are, you should check out the link for Dirty Diaper 21 and Old Radio Night, where something is always happening. Let's see, tonight, what was going on?
Network song.
Oh.
I'm checking in. Yeah, on the Old Tube Radio Network. Yeah.
How about that?
Was great.
It was great.
I know he's gonna. He might be a little afraid of a copyright infringement. Do you give him a complete usage of that without any problem?
All right, that's good, because we don't want to get in trouble, and when we have a world exclusive song, we can always do it. But that's what happens over there on Old Radio Night. So it allows you to do your best, Frank Sinatra and Mr. DD21. We've got you checked in over.
Hey, Dennis?
This is the Basic Dennis, over.
Hey, Basic Dennis, could you check in Mr. Bill number 35 when you get there? He's unable to check in via the website.
Okay. That's right, because the comments are not working and you'd have to go to the video. Again, I don't know if that's a fixable thing, because we were kind of relying on Facebook to be the relay, and if they think that this is some Russian third-party site, I think they're starting to block stuff, but you know how that can be. So I will make sure that Mr. Bill gets checked in. That's coming up.
Well, Dennis, we do have a Russian tube showing on the stream, you know.
You know, that is true. The 6L6 GT. I kind of thought that would help out, but maybe it's beginning to cause problems. Let me go to SWL 22, Mark in East Texas.
Very good, comrade. Excuse me, we're out.
And SWL 23. I'm not sure where Mitch might be coming in tonight. Let's see if 23 Skidoo is on the board somewhere. Yes, checking in from the OTR Ballot Counting Center. Yes, the home of the Hanging Chad, no doubt. Pleased to report that Bozo Control has been overwhelmingly reelected in that control. Well, that goes to show you that sometimes, even when you don't put money out in the campaign trail, people will vote for you anyway. And they say vote often and vote a lot. Well, thanks. I will try to uphold my duty as net control here if I don't get tangled up trying to key up the J38 key. Thank you, Mitch. Over to SWL 24. SWL 25.
Hello, Dennis. 25 checking in.
25 checking in, sounding good here on the Old Tube Radio tonight. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you, Dennis.
And let's see, while I have a chance, 25, Jerry is one of the net controllers on a 10-meter net that we have here in Central California. On Wednesday evenings, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, do your minus or plus UTC calculations for that. It's on upper sideband, of course, 28.445 for those of you who would like to transmit and have your what is it, at least technician ticket for that band. That should work. Everyone is welcome in the visitors or guest sections unless you're on the roll call, which is easy to do. So check that out on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. The bands should start opening. We're having some sunspots. E-skip, you just never know. Who is next? Let's flip the page over to SWL 27. SWL 29, we have a proxy check-in for Mr. Loner, and SWL 30, the infamous RFI. Dwayne listening in from somewhere in Idaho where you might be getting snow. This storm that dropped a whole bunch of cold rain on us, I'm assuming probably dropped a whole bunch of even colder rain, albeit maybe even snow on you guys up there. Over to SWL 31, and that's Robert and Teresa out of Hendersonville, Tennessee. I do not see them on the OTR.net. I will keep an eye out if they are up and running on the video page here tonight. SWL 32. SWL 33. I will get myself checked in. Of course, the Jingle Singers, Mr. Announcer, Bozo Control Summer. I've not seen Bozo Control in a long time. I have a feeling that he has some project, or someone he's chasing down an ice cream truck, which are kind of not in demand these days around here. I've got myself checked in. SWL 34. And that's Jimmy, a railroader, who is working on getting the Old Tube Radio Net Facebook page sort of revitalized and up and running and a little more exciting, or maybe a lot more exciting. I don't know. I'll find out more about that, how that works, and hopefully we'll be able to do some link-ups on that as well. But I think I saw Jimmy in there, out of Batavia, Illinois, or I almost pronounced that right, I'm sure, checking in. And thanks for waving a hand to all of us here in Central California, across the universe on the oldtuberadio.net. And there is a carrier, but no audio. Try it again. Oh, okay. I think that's 24. Boy, the audio is getting a little on the interesting side, but I do believe that is you, Joe, and I got you checked in. Okay, at least it's producing a tone. So the audio circuit in the radio is fine. So it sounds like it's a microphonium problem for sure. Thanks for checking in, 24. You get that tone, you could do some, I guess what they call it, MCW, some modulated CW. SWL 35, Mr. Bill on the relay check-in. We'll give him an official check-in as he was knocking at the door. We couldn't let him in. SWL, and I missed the comments page. I don't know if there's going to be a way to get that on somewhere back or not. SWL 36. SWL 37.
37 here, Dennis, and as last night, could you check Ed in again up on the hill up there, Wanya? You know, as I told you last night, he not getting around too good. Has an aneurysm in his belly, so everybody kind of give him a prayer out there for him. He goes into surgery. I don't know exactly when, but he will tell me when. So anyway, check him in also for you, if you would, please.
All right, we'll do that. If you're listening, Ed, we are putting positive thoughts your way. And it sounds like you've got some experts working on the situation there. So we will trust them to be able to help you out and get you back on the air where you belong. Thanks for tuning in, and we've got everybody checked in. Thanks, Chris.
You bet, Dennis. Thank you.
SWL 38. Shortwave listener 39. SWL 40.
SWL 40 here, and there's lots of strange things going on. Very, very strange things going on in my neighborhood, and I believe it's a Soviet takeover of my radio that seems to it's very strange, very strange. SWL 40 checking in.
Well, this is the very strange frequency, so you've come to the right place, and I think that's probably at least something different from the very strangeness that you typically encounter there for 23 out of most of the 24 hours a day. So put on the rose-colored glasses and fasten your seatbelt, and we will chat with you in a little bit. The Old Tube Radio Network, we're on page 2 of the Direct-to-Net roll call. The Tube Radios will be heading your way just in a moment. Going to go through some comments here on the video page just to make sure they don't scroll away, and I don't see them at all. Phil 79, I see you're there. We will definitely get you checked in. Making sure that the audio is good for everybody. GWD Labs is also listening in tonight. So far, the audio rack is in place. The rack screws are not coming loose, but I don't know about all the connectors on the back. Keith, the mighty Sierra Romeo out there in Foreland from Rocky Mountain, Virginia, saying hello, radio. And SWL 44, I see you are there, so we will make sure you are checked in from your long day across town, maybe also like DD21 on the horizontal side, but resting in. And GWD, I don't know what the Bulldogs are doing. I don't know if they're playing or what they're doing. So in the year of 2020, we'll say go Dogs, and hopefully they can go. Stan, I see you are in there. Popcorn 913, good evening to you. North Charleston is listening in and likes the Old Tube Radio Network song. I think we all like that. So when we produce our CD album, we will make sure that it is a part of that. And I see that 103 is also in as well. I left off at SWL 41. Let's see, Road Dog. Road Dog will probably be in there. He usually checks on the video side. SWL 42.
Yeah, let's proxy in 42 in the game.
Will do. Get 42 in there. SWL 43. Crazy Eddie checked in for sure. SWL 44. Delta X-Ray, Mr. Ray, who is taking a much-needed rest from jumping around. Ray, if you're listening, we definitely do have you checked in. Also, X4000. I think he's manning the pirate radio station tonight, somewhere at between the crossroads of Highway 580 and 5. Up there in the hills above above Modesto, where those strange little triangular things are up in the foothills and satellite dishes. So if you hear something strange coming through tonight, and we have the HF radio hooked up, might listen in and see if we can what we can hear tonight. Let's try SWL 45. Hello, Paul.
Oh, Dennis. You sounded good tonight. I hope I'm sounding better than I sounded last week.
Hey, Paul, when you're on an old tube radio, you always sound good. And I will say that you do sound as good or possibly even better this week as well. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you.
Next is SWL 46. The guy that got us started off was 00, SWL 47.
Well, good evening. One more time from the radio lounge, where it's a toasty 73 degrees. SWL 47.
And 47, thanks. I don't know, my little thermometer thing always manages to move. But it is nice in here. I actually have the window open. You might hear some strange outside things going on. I'm dressed up. I'm in the official, where it is, the old tube radio garb. I am ready with the pocket protector. And you know what I had? Where did I? Oh, okay, it's right here. I have when we start doing the tube radio, I have a pin to insert into the pocket protector as usual. And, you know, you're finding out now that SWL 00, you actually have to stay in the radio room so you can check in all the time. So thanks for doing that.
It's added responsibility for just a delightful way to spend a Saturday evening. It's not a chore. It's a privilege, truly.
All right, that's the way I feel about jumping in net control with all the many net controls that have been on the air here on the Old Tube Radio Network over 35 years. It is definitely a privilege to do that. Well, my spare pen will work because the other one just dropped on the floor somewhere. So thanks for checking in yet again. Over. Next we go to SWL 48. I can see I really need to evolve a third arm to do this. SWL 49. I'm going to get Smitty and Sweet Country Mama checked in. I know they were having some QRM interference, so hopefully they're trying to get that taken care of. Hey, when the sunspot cycle gets up to 100, I wonder if we will actually make it into the UK here on the Old Tube Radio Network. That would be somewhat interesting. Let's go to SWL 50. Over to SWL 51.
SWL 51 checking in.
Sounding good on AM. Also, I don't know if you use the same rig on sideband on the Friday night check-ins, but you always sound good there, too. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you, Dennis. Have a good evening.
SWL 52. SWL 53.
Hello, Dennis. 53 checking in.
SWL 53. Hello, Bob. I will get you checked in with the proverbial X in the square. Thanks for listening into the Old Tube Radio Network tonight.
Thank you.
And it's time to turn the page yet again. Got the cosmic check-in for Larry, Mr. Board Jammer, SWL 54. Over to SWL 55.
Break OTR.
And the break OTR, go ahead, over.
Almost forgot. I was supposed to proxy in 55 for him tonight.
I will get a check-in for 55. I hear they're pretty busy commuting up and down the hill and getting things set up and ready to go. Of course, the weather is probably not cooperating much these days, but I've got M&M checked in. Thanks.
Thank you, Dennis.
.54 is in, 55 is in, SWL 56.
Good evening, Dennis and the net. 56, just for kicks.
Kicks and grins and all that good stuff. We will have plenty of kicks tonight when the tube radios start keying up and check in. We will be looking forward to that in just a moment. Thanks for checking in. Over to SWL 57. I need to switch over to the page that will let me see if Brown Dog is in tonight. North Charleston is in listening to the show. See if Central Kentucky can tune in at some point. Let's try SWL 58. Look at Jeremy proxied in. Here's the net control most times of the Friday night sideband, the Ditch Banks sideband net. All are welcome there. Give it a shot on 36 lower, 27,365 at 8 p.m. on Friday evenings Pacific Standard Time, where everyone has a good time. And sometimes the video is up on his page of the SDR. You can actually, you can hear and see yourselves checking in. Pretty cool. SWL 59. SWL 60. SWL 61.
61, checking in, Dennis.
And 61, beaconing through into Midtown as usual in fine style. And we have you checked in, Dean. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
As they say on that other band, fine business on the Copenhagen Kid. Let's try SWL 62. SWL 63. I don't think I saw Butterbean on Old Radio Night tonight. I'll have to go back and look at the log. Don't see him on the scroll up for this one just yet. SWL 64. SWL 65. I'm going to get a proxy check-in for 65 Eric. I can see if the comment section does not improve, or we can't get to that, the installation of possibly an IRLP or an Echolink node might be something in the not-too-distant future for our listeners that are far away out of the skip zone. I've got the HF radio up, but that may be a little rough trying to listen in on 40 meters for some of the people. Let's try SWL 66. SWL 67. I do believe that Canby, Oregon was on my list. Let me go back and see if you're still there. Well, you were there, I know, because I read your QTH off. So, Bill, if you're listening or watching, we do have you checked in from your earlier appearance here on the Gold Tube Radio Network. Over to SWL 68. SWL 69. And Kenny checked in last week. He usually pops by the video. Hello, Kenny. If you're listening, you can see up at the top of the page there that you are checked in. Awesome, from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Thanks for listening. SWL 70. SWL 71 checking in from Dallas, Georgia on the video side tonight. Sierra Hotel Whiskey in Foreland. Yes, indeed. Even with the little vertical, or the 14 AVQ vertical, I am hearing some of the 4 stations on 40 meters at night. Of course, they're all running beams and 1,500 watts, so they're obviously not going to be hearing me. Thanks, Stan, for tuning in. I haven't done much radio today to find out what contest, and there's always a contest, right? What contest, if any, is going on tonight. Maybe we'll figure that out a little bit later when we tune in the AF side. Going out to Clovis, I wonder if Eric is there. SWL 72. SWL 73. SWL 74. And I am supposed to get Miss Julie checked in, or else I will suffer the wrath of 49,999 watts when she finds out that there was not an X in the square. Over to SWL 75. SWL 77.
Well, once again, good evening, Dennis, and 77. Had a good day messing with all the audio gear, and the Tower of Power in the Tower District, checking in and waving a hand to all the listeners.
And sounding good. It's always a good day when you spend some time in the audio rack, on the audio rack, and it actually works, and you don't you don't come away with a headache, or maybe you come away with a headache and it still works. It is sounding good, and we will talk more about that when we start glowing in the dark. Thanks. Everett, Washington. I wonder if Richard is out there. SWL 78. I'll keep an ear out, an eye out for our Washington stations. I see that the Bob and Steve show are trying to connect. Ohio is trying to connect to the old tube radio network here tonight. Let me see if I can dial in the frequency where they're at before we go any farther here. It says the guys are having a poker tournament. You should talk to SWL7. You should have talked to Mr. Ed about a poker tournament. He can give you a few pointers on how maybe to walk away with more money in your pocket than you entered the poker tournament with. Everyone is welcome to play. Winners get the biggest turkey Costco has. I have not checked to see if they're stocking turkeys. They've got Christmas cookies, so my guess is they probably got Christmas turkeys as well. Tuesday night is poker night in the Green Room Lounge. The Jingle Singers ate so much Halloween candy. I noticed there were rappers all over the floor last week. They were afraid that they had gained too much weight. I did not have the scales out. This is not like a truck stop where we weigh you when you come in the door. So don't worry about that. Bob and Steve went to Costco and got an exercise bike and a treadmill. The card is still working. I don't even want to see it. I don't even want to see what's happening with the card. I think it's on auto pay. That was the big mistake when the secretary put the auto pay on the old tube radio Costco card. Well, I'm glad we're promoting good health regardless. Tonight at the bar, hot chicken wings. And from the Omaha Steaks filet mignon pieces. Oh, I will be out there. I will definitely be out there tonight after the things, and with cold beer. Join us after the net. Won't you? Remember when they say that? That's kind of a 60s thing. Join us after the net, won't you? Okay, speaking of the net, let's get back to the net. I'm thinking, is it a foot switch? Is it my hand I'm supposed to do? SWL 79, Philip, I saw you on the video page. Mr. DC, you are checked in. Over to SWL 80. I really like having a video in the radio room here. You can just see all the calamity That appears to be the old Tube Radio Network sometimes. Let's go over to page 4. SWL 81, Steve Areno. Who used to call Steve Allen Steve Areno? I think it was Louis Nye. And I bet he had a suit just like this one. Mr. Unicorn, if you are listening in from your secret location, you are checked in here at the Gold Tube Radio Network tonight. Over to SWL 82.
82, checking in from the Ditch Banks of Biola.
Hey, looking and sounding good from the Ditch Banks of Biola. Ron is one of the guest net controller hosts for the Ditch Banks net. I don't know if I've got any audio. It's probably not. That would be cool if I did, but it's probably not of Ron. Let me just see to promote the Ditch Banks SSB net.
How about operator 544, Dave in Easton?
Checking in. Cape Royals, Antarctica. One Sunday trying to check into the World Radio Club.
This is from a couple of weeks ago, 27,365 lower side band.
That's pretty good. That might give another gentleman a run for his money here from the store.
Listen to that audio. He's got
nice contact. All right.
Jeremy does a good job on that. So remember on Friday nights, 36 lower on the.
Man, I don't have any cool stories like that.
It sounds like he's right here in the studio, huh? On the Ditch Banks sideband net. And Ron, it goes without saying that you do a good job as well. Thanks for checking in.
All right, thanks, Dennis. That sounded really good. Came in really good here.
Yeah, it's amazing. Tell Jeremy he sounded good on the old Tube Radio Network, and he'll be scratching his head. Over to SWL 84. And then we'll get Jerry and the gang checked in here. Over to SWL Reedley, SWL 85. Hey, sounding good. Sounding good, John. I hope you can hear Midtown Fresno tonight, over. Yeah, I was thinking about that. The rain might help our ground wave a little bit, which for Reedley is really not a line of sight hop. At least not the way I've got my antenna. So we're definitely bouncing off of the freeway overpasses and the high-speed rail uncompleted overpasses, the eucalyptus trees in the center of Highway 99, and who knows what else. You are sounding good, and we've got you checked in. Also checking in SWL 86, 87, and 88, and that's the Mountain Maid, Tandy Girl, and Snowy Owl, respectively, I believe, if I got them in order. SWL 89. Got a proxy check in for SWL 90. SWL 92. I'm not even sure if I make it out to Madera anymore. Let's try SWL 93.
Yeah, let's proxy in Louis.
Yeah, I was running around. If he was on earlier, usually I'm listening and I didn't hear him, but we'll get Louis checked in, 93. Louis, if you're listening, there's your X in the square. And thanks for checking with the old Tube Radio Network. Let's go a little south of Midtown for SWL 98.
Checking in, Dennis.
And Dave, 544 is checked in, and we finally got some Monterey weather for you.
Yeah, we need it here.
Yeah, it was nice. The AQI is really good. The air seems fresh for once. We'll see what happens when the fireplaces around the neighborhood fire up. But that's okay. You got to keep warm. Thanks for checking in. Next is Mr. Cheesy E. Jeff 103. I saw you earlier on the big board, and we've got you checked in if you are listening in somewhere. Over to SWL 109. Shortwave listener 110. SWL 111, Robert, who I did check in on the crossband radio, sounding good on FM. I think he actually even sounded better on AM tonight. Still having some trouble with the noise level to hear Midtown Fresno. Robert, if you were listening, you are indeed checked in. Although, as you heard, Reedley was sounding good. Reedley Town was sounding good moments ago here on the LT Radio Network. Over to SWL 113. SWL 114.
114, checking in.
114. None other than Mr. Rickshaw. Wayne, I've got you checked in. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for the check-in.
And then over to SWL 128, Fairfax, Virginia. John, I did see you. Where did I see you? You were either on the video page or you were on the Old Tube Radio Facebook somewhere. But I did I did see you somewhere. So I'm checking you in as SWL 128. John is also, and at some point we'll be able to chat or type away. John is one of the people who has an SWL number, like an SWL card. It's WPE91CM. When you're listening to the shortwave broadcast stations. And I don't know how that got issued. That would be interesting to chat with John out of Fairfax, Virginia, to find out how you get issued one of those, if they still do it, and what you had to do. I was tuning through the shortwave band. It is pretty awful. I remember listening in 30 and 40 years ago, and it was filled up with very interesting stuff. A lot of the stations went off the air just because of costs overruns, and the stations that are on now are, well, they're kind of duplicity in what they do. So it's not, at least in my opinion, not quite as exciting. But I always envied anybody that was a true SWL with one of those SWL numbers. So got you checked in, John. We will chat. We will talk about how to be an SWL. It's easy here on the Old Tube Radio Network. You can just listen in wherever you might be and enjoy what you're doing while we enjoy what we're doing here. Let's go over to SWL 131. Shortwave listener 133.
Good evening, Dennis. 133, checking in.
In Fresno, Northwest Fresno, Dave, you are sounding good into net control tonight. The Delta Echo Foxtrot. How does that play on the keyboard? No, not quite. Mine is almost there. I'm a G and an F and a D, so I can go right on that center keyboard. On yours, you have to move up to the other one, but you're kind of in the same area, so that works out good for typing your call in. Let's head over to SWL 135. Cliff must be taking a break from all that spooky stuff last week. We've got a proxy check-in for SWL 137. Heading up the hill for Tony, SWL 145.
Hello, audio. Good evening, Dennis. Audio check 1, 2. Just trying to give myself a radio check, Roger. Looking forward to next Saturday. Going to try to make it out there and fist bump a few people and take a look around. Looking forward to it. Hope the weather holds out for us.
We'll see. I'm not sure what your weather was like up there today. I don't think it was cold enough to get snow, obviously, but you probably got some rain. Oh, speaking of next Saturday, I will be late to the net, so I'm concocting possibly turning on the audio stream, and I'm hoping I'll be in the air chair by 9 o'clock for maybe a quick SWL check-in and radio check-ins. I've got our annual FM station radio fundraiser is going to be next weekend, and it's a virtual on-air live thing, so it's a little bit different. So I'm going to be out of this air chair and maybe not necessarily into another one, but helping out with that. So we'll discuss that more. The other thing, the other Saturday item that Tony is mentioning probably is the Swap Fest thing that's happening Saturday morning here in Central California, out in Clovis at Lyons Automotive off of Gettysburg, near Gettysburg and Clovis Avenue. And I think that happens at 8 o'clock at Lyons Automotive. We might have more information on that, but in theory, that is taking place. Tony, you sound good on AM. You've got everything dialed, and we've got you checked in. Over.
Okay, yeah, very good. Thank you, Dennis. Yeah, that was exactly what I was talking about, trying to make it out to the swap, Roger.
Indeed. Yeah, listen to some of the FM frequencies. If it changes, maybe we'll post something. But as far as I know, it's planned to happen. I think if it rains, they can actually go. There's some spaces inside. It might be kind of crowded if they have to do that, though. All right, got you checked in. Thanks for stopping by. Next is SWL47 Neil, who often checks in somewhere where I can find you. You might have been up earlier on the video page. I will scroll around. I don't see you just yet, so he may come in a little bit later, so I'll look for him there. Back over to Course Gold, the SWL 195.
195, checking in, Dennis. Yeah, it's been raining up here.
Uh-oh. Wait a minute. All right. The J38 key wasn't working all of a sudden. I didn't take the contact cleaner to this thing. Maybe I should have done that. I see what's happening. It was sitting on top of something. That is not good. All right, sorry. I'm still having key-up problems here. You are sounding good. I don't know what you did to... I remember you said you did some type of antenna work. It is just, you are a good 2 S units. S unit better audio sounds great. So enjoy the rain, as we are all doing, and thanks for checking in.
Well, thank you, Dennis. Yeah, it helps talk to the front part of the mic, too.
Yeah, see, I put mine on a stick. I put mine on a stick, so I can't go wrong. Otherwise, I'm sure I would be doing the same thing occasionally. Thanks for the check-in.
Thank you, Dennis.
It might be a carrot on this microphone boom as well. SWL 226. That's Jeff in Mariposa. I'm getting Jeff a check-in. I heard him on the Ditch Banks sideband net. I can hear him in Mariposa on sideband, just barely, but he's there. So I know he is still around. Anybody else? Anybody needs to check in or say something before we stop in and get the tube radios lit up here tonight?
Yeah, break Dennis.
Yeah, the break, Dennis. Go ahead, over.
Yeah, I didn't know too already. I wanted to get back with you on that antenna situation I had over here. So, did you want me to just give you my number, or you can text me yours at hello?
Okay, number 2, operator. And what is the what were we working on again? Over.
Yeah, we got that letter from the city about my antenna there. Hello.
Okay, I can't remember if you were talking to me or the other Dennis.
Okay, well, he told me he was down there, up Olive down there. So I don't know if you or him or not, but I know he told me his home was Dennis there, right?
Yeah, okay, that's the other Dennis. He was here earlier. He may be away from the microphonium, so he probably has more info on what you need.
Yeah, well, can I give you my number and you can give it to him?
Absolutely.
Okay, 307 4410. That's 307 4410. Hey, if I don't have to hear my phone ring, just ask him to leave me a message. If he can leave his number, I'll call him back there, right?
Okay, will do. I've got the item of interest, and we'll make sure that I get the relay to him.
Yeah, right. They will be coming out here on Monday. I He's going to be coming out on Monday, so I wanted to make sure I kind of talked to him before he came, or I can be able to call him call him while they're here there, Roger.
Okay, well, I'm hearing you great, so whatever antenna you got is working for you, so I don't know how you can improve on perfection.
Yeah, there's an old antenna probably like about 50 years old. I was at least 50 years old. But, yeah, we've been talking to the antenna for probably about 2 years now. It's called a Gizmoski there, right?
The Gizmoski, I've never had one. I've seen their beams that are sort of in that vertical, horizontal, triangular thing. The old super penetrators and the CLR2s and the Avanti astroplanes and the ground planes and all the things that, you know, we wanted and aspired to back in the day. If the plastic hasn't broken on them, they still work well.
Oh, this is a brand new one. I've been having it. I've been close to about 2 years I've been at it. But the city was giving me a problem about it being on my house. So I was going to talk to Dennis about it. He told me he'll get back with him. So that's what I was trying to do. But yeah, I'm in love with the thing. And it's either my wife and this, so it's going to be my wife first and this second now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think there's a little-known city ordinance which happens to do something with 35 feet, depending on how and where it's mounted. And then there's always the safety thing, but you know about that. You don't want to have any metal antennas that are really close to the incoming power line drop. But other than that, you know, it's a hobby, it's a radio thing, and we've got to have our antennas.
Yeah, I just on that. Well, I hope the man understand when he come out here. Now, Dennis told me to get back with him. He'll run me through the program, make sure everything is all right. So I don't want nobody to come take my antenna down. I got to take it down because this is my hobby now. I don't fish no more, so I sit by the radio there, Roger.
Absolutely. You are a good S9 into the old Tube Radio Network tonight. My antenna is not very high at all, and we're actually recording this. So if you want a video gate and how you sound, you can go to oldtuberadio.net, or you can look on YouTube. We'll actually have a YouTube video up, and you will be in there probably about, what time is it? Almost about an hour in. You'll be able to hear and see how things were sounding on this end. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll make sure that Dennis gets that information.
Okay, you keep my number, too. Because I need y'all over there to help me with that. Just hold on to my number. You can, like I say, you can call me and leave me a voicemail if I get on the line. I can get your number so I can make sure I can stay in contact with y'all there, Roger.
Okay, absolutely. This is a good place to find us on Saturday evenings. And I know a lot of the stations are up on sideband, and you just never know when we might be hanging out on this one. So thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, all right, then. Appreciate you taking your time, and God bless y'all over that way. We'll talk to you later. Keep going. Keep it going. You've been doing it for a while, but just keep it going, Dennis. I'm gone.
All right. Water Street, number 2 operator stopping by the old Tube Radio Network tonight. One of the voices here in the Central Valley that's been on the airwaves for a long, long time. And you can tell he is in command of that radio, sounding good tonight. I think that is it. I'm going to switch over to the Tube Radio side of things so we can get to the glow-in-the-dark radios fired up. Oh, I wanted to make a comment. Actually, I was talking about John in Fairfax, Virginia, 128, and the SWL numbers. He actually answered that question. It finally dawned on me that I was talking about that, and he says the SWL calls were issued by Popular Electronics magazine back in the 60s, so he's not sure if anyone is still doing that. So I'm trying to think if I ever saw Popular Electronics, probably, but it's one of those things. I bet the subscription was probably like $1.50. It was just probably about $1.25 more than I usually had in my pocket, and so let's see, hence the WPE. Okay, the PE for Popular Electronics. I will check into that more, but that is a classic thing to have your SWL number for listening in back in the 60s when there was plenty of shortwave stuff going on. Back in a moment with your Tube Radios on the old Tube Radio Network. Okay, I think we're back on the old Tube Radio Network.
You may not find us on your TV because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27. Wait, no, wait.
Well,
Tube Radio Network.
I think we've got a bad connector somewhere. You know, that's what happens when they're dancing. When they're dancing over in the green room, they start stepping on cables and things. Listen to that.
Ladies and gentlemen,
So where is the problem? I don't know.
from home and from afar, the station for you is
There they are.
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
Hey, watch it over there, will you? No, take it easy with the hot dogs, and it's the filet mignon steak, and it's probably that cold beer that Bob and Steve put out there. We'll have to reroute those cables under some type of a cable tray. I bet they have the cable trays at Costco. Just something else to put on the card. All right, let me go back to the control room. All right, that's good. That seems to be working. The old Tube Radio Network, where real radios glow in the dark. I want to get suited up here. We've got the pocket protector, the seersucker suit, the official old Tube Radio net control shirt, and tonight our pen that goes in the pocket protector, and this is really small type, but it's cool. It's CBS Hytron, Hytron. Somebody do a search. What is CBS Hytron? A division of Columbia Broadcasting System Incorporated. How old is that? Sample Scripto Pencil. Oh, this is a mechanical pencil. Not a pen, I misspoke. But I will see if we get the logo. There's the CBS Hytron logo. If you're got the video, if you don't have the video, it doesn't really look like the CBS logo. It's a red circle with some elevated CBS, and it says Columbia Broadcasting System, and then the Hytron logo, which is also a circle with the little outline of the United States, and the Hytron in red. Here it is. Let's see. You can't see that very well. All right, there's the CBS, and there's the Hytron. But that is going in the pocket protector tonight, a mechanical pencil. There's still lead in that. There's still some graphite sitting in that thing. Next is your Tube Radio check-in, so let me stop yakking and undo the J38 key, and we are looking for radio number 1 on the old Tube Radio Network.
Number 7.
45, 45.
25.
All right, we've got the triple play in, let's see, not the order of appearance. Radio 3 will be 25. That is Jerry. So head over. Be careful of the cables. I don't know if they got them taped down or not, but head over to the green room. We'll pick you up for Radio 3. Radio number 2 will be Paul up in North Fork, who has about 10 tons of radios. So I know he knows about cables and how to avoid them for making things spark and arc. And stepping up into the air chair here at, what's the official time? I'll call it 9:07 Pacific Standard Time is our operator, Ed. Not too far from the QTH here. If I put up the S meter, you will see that he puts in a pretty decent signal without a lot of effort. Hello, Ed. Over.
And hello, OTR and all the SWLs. This time from 1963, the Tram 23, TR-27 Echo.
1963, it was definitely a good year for most people anyway. TR23E. If I put up the right, it says radio and S meter. Click on the radio, and there it is. The big green machine. It is sounding good. Give us a transmission on the first tube radio of the 7th of November 2020.
There you go. Yes, the big green radio. 5x7 speaker and a big S meter, about just a little over 3 inches tall and a little over 3.5 inches wide. 23 channel transmit and receive, along with the Electro Voice 638 microphone.
Classic all the way around, even down to the microphonium. Let's see which is my picture of that one. That's the one. It's a good full scale. This radio has, of course, crystal controlled transmit channels as designed for Class D 11 meters. Had to be channelized. And then the tunable receive, the receiver did not. Makes sense. Even if you were just using a transmitter only, on Crystal, you could use a big Hallicrafters or receiver or maybe something from Collins, although the Tram held its own, I think, on the receive side. I'm looking for the ad. I wanted to switch over to the advertisement. Here we go. And that is from, just like you said, October 1963, CB Horizons magazine, page 33. Another step forward in CB communications, the Tram TR27E base station, with all sorts of information on all the good things that it does and is still doing here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Over.
That it is. Luckily, it's actually been one of the better operating radios. And yes, it does have a pretty darn good receive. Not as good as the Browning, but I think that's probably just an alignment issue.
And there are ways to align it. There's even an alignment tip. I guess you could cut those out. They've got a little paper clip, and they had different. This is service tip number 1, so there's probably many. I suppose you could chop them out, or you could even call Tram Electronics out there in Winnisquam, New Hampshire. Send them a message at P.O. Box 187, Department 10A, and find out how many times you needed to turn that V2 coil near pin 1. Don't keep turning it until it gets really hard and then it gets really easy. That would be a bad thing. Your audio always sounds good. The signal is good because you are close. And that Tram, let me go back to the picture. I'm just curious. How is that thing for heat? Putting out heat through the top. It obviously has a big cabinet, so I'm assuming it's got some decent convection cooling.
Yes, it does, but it is definitely a little warm on top. Not as hot as some other radios that I've had, which will actually work as a cooking device. But no, it is warm, but you can set your tan right on top of it.
Well, speaking of cooking, I see they're talking about a corned beef sandwich. Oh, that's CBS. All right, we were talking about CBS earlier. That's pretty good. The corned beef special. This is not the corned beef special, although it probably, like I said, if you've got the sandwich wrapped in aluminum foil, it could probably set on top and do just okay. Are there any secret? There's 3 knobs to the volume, squelch, and I don't know, limiter. So I'm thinking that's, well, I don't know, is that RF limiting or is that noise limiting? Do any of those have dual functions, like they pull out to do something, or you rotate them and they click in to do something?
Well, the volume, of course, is the on and off switch, so you click it on and turn it up, and not very far because it'll blast you out. The next one is a noise limiter, and yes, it's on with a click, and then it's a variable from there, and it works very well. And of course, the squelch is just a regular old squelch.
The regular old squelch, doing a regular old squelch should do. Radio number 1, the Tram TR-27E from 1963 and sounding very good here in 2020. This was the top-of-the-line radio from Tram, and I think they're last in the version of the TR series, the TR-27 series, before they went to, I'm going to say the next radio after this would have been the Titan series, which I think used the same S meter, but did did some different stuff inside before they tried the double sideband thing. It sounds good. Thanks for getting us started off, and we'll go back to you for another transmission. Thanks for bringing it by. Over.
Oh, and thank you for allowing me to play with the darn thing on Saturday night. And with that, we'll let you get to some more tube operators there, and I'll get another one ready to get online also.
Sounds good. And we will do that to get some more tube radio operators online, because that is what we're supposed to do here, especially on something called the Old Tube Radio Network. Coming up next at 9:14 is Paul up in North Fork, where I'm assuming there was plenty of rain today. Hello, Paul. Over.
Hello, Dad. We're checking in another Utica. This is the Town and Country, Roman numeral 2.
Utica, U-T-I-C-A, for those like me are looking through the Rolodex to find if we have a photo of the Utica Town and Country 2, which we do. I'm not sure if that is from your collection or not. Let me get a larger photo of that. Hey, it's even got somebody's call letters on the front. I don't think those are yours. Give us a chance. Hey, this is a pretty decent radio. I see a S meter and external crystal sockets and some interesting things. Over.
The first one they made, and I'll tell you what, this one has done a lot of good things to it. This is the first Town and Country MC27 on a basic, very nice little radio. The radio is larger and quite a few things added to it. It has a lighted S meter, a lighted 1 through channel 23 VFO, plus 6 channel transmission receive crystals. They did quite a bit, and boy, the next one to come up was on the web there, as told one that Harvey has. It's the Town and Country 3. Love to have it. This in between, so back to you.
And I can't remember, was it Jimmy last week that said something like he put a Demco modulator on those, and they will really scream. Yours is doing well. I may have missed, if you told me the microphone you were using, I may have missed that microphone, so I will check with you on that. There is, I'll get a closer picture, and there is on the left-hand side the tunable receive. It's the numbers are in the little window there, and you can see that's got the tune or the crystal switch. The microphone plugs in that. It's got an S meter. It's tiny, but at least you could see it move. You could tell if something was happening. There's your channel knobs, and I'm going to say those are definitely the original knobs in that sort of ivory cream color with the chrome surrounds. Pretty cool. And the speaker on the front. It's doing a good job. Over.
I'm sure glad. After last week, it was a disaster, I'll tell you that, for me. I listened to it all archive. I'm really ashamed of it. But you have those things with these old radios. Anyway, I your actual question there, but I'm using Turner +3, M+2U handheld microphone. Back to you.
Good audio. I switched over to quickly to see what your signal was, and actually it is, as for radios, this one's putting out a pretty decent signal, because you're almost up to S9. The meter isn't moving around very much, but the audio sounds like it's loud enough, so I think you're working well. Radio number 2, Utica, the Town and Country 2, in their Town and Country series. Lots of, looking at the vents on top, there are lots of convection cooling. I'm assuming the tubes are vertical and not horizontal in that. It looks, I think it's just our picture. It looks like a wide radio, but not very tall. And there is the Utica dude on the badge on the speaker. Back to you for transmission. And yeah, you'll be pleased for hearing this one on the playback for this week. Over.
Well, I look forward to the about it. It's the best thing. I'll tell you, I love it. Now, let's see, that's what it is. Got to be up on the thing, and it stabilizes itself in, say, probably 5 minutes, which is really unusual. You did a nice job with it. So, anyway, thanks for checking it in, Dennis. I appreciate it very much.
Thanks for bringing it by. Always good to have some older style radios or ones that you don't see or hear quite often. And they're cool, and they just remind me of the old AM broadcast table radios with the knobs and dials and the mid-century modern look on the old Tube Radio Network. And John, I missed your other comment about, we were talking about assigning SWL numbers, the magazines. Popular Electronics also, and had one. Popular Communications had one, so they were WPC4FX. He said that was from a couple of years ago. I think Popcom actually had a CB. I used to subscribe to that. They had a CB radio section, and that might have been by the two call. What was his name? Tom something. Natel, something like that. And he did a CB radio column about 20 years ago. I've got a lot of those. I should check back in because they had some good information. They also did an SWL corner as well. So if Popcom is still, I don't know why I stopped subscribing to that. I thought it was kind of a good magazine just for that reason, that they did the SWLs and some CB stuff and kind of mixed it around. Radio number 3 is standing by patiently. It is 9:20. I hope it is not too cold out in the Radio Shack tonight, Jerry, but we do appreciate your efforts into getting us radio number 3 over.
Yeah, not a problem, Dennis. And the Jingle Singlers made a fresh batch of shortbread cookies, and all is well. And by the way, Ed's radio and Paul's radio sound fantastic. So anyway, hopefully this one stands up, holds up to their standards. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB, talking on the non-powered banana mic, two-piece radio. Boy, the on-the-air light is on, and everything seems to be working. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
Everything is working wonderfully. I'm going to have to lubricate the slide-to-talk bar on the J38 key to make things a little easier to do lock-to-talk. Your radio is holding up very well between the Tram, TR-27E, radio number 1, Utica Town and Country, radio number 2. By the way, I missed the comment, but Jimmy's saying that the Utica was made on the north side of Chicago, Irving Park Road and California Avenue. That's specific. I wonder if that's a good area of town to go in and see if they have the Town and Country logo. Maybe they got that little Town and Country guy up on the side of the building like they did with the helicopters logo from Chicago. What does Steve Allen used to say? Chicago, Illinois, 60609. I don't know what the zip code would be there. The Browning Golden Eagle, I always like to mention that, yes, I have been able, Jerry was... Oh, and there's a break for OTR on the crossband. We'll see. It sounds like Harvey, perhaps. I've had the pleasure of operating that Golden Eagle radio, so I know about it. Back to you.
All right, Dennis. Anyway, 23 channel VFO, lower sideband, upper sideband, and back in the day when Kevin ran the Friday night sideband net. We checked it in a few times, and of course, Jeremy's got that Friday night thing going. I might try it one time just to see how close I can get on frequency with this one. Seems to me I tried it, but I had an issue. I'm not sure why. But anyway, thanks for checking it in, Dennis. Back to you.
Yeah, maybe not the easiest radio to work on sideband, but it does have, I think it was built in. It wasn't something you had to go in and open up, but it had I'll call it a clarifier, but it's just to fine-tune. It's one of the knobs on the transmitter that allows you to move, it's a VFO, it's called VFO. It allows you to move your frequency, and I think it was plus and minus either 350 each side or 700 cycles each side, because in theory, I believe that is the amount that you were able to be off center frequency on a crystal. You were allowed 700 cycles either way by the FCC for crystal tolerance. And Jimmy might know. I don't know how they got away with doing that on the Mark III, but that was pretty smart of them, saying, well, if that's what the FCC will allow, let's put in the VFO that will allow you to move your radio 700 plus or minus and still stay within tolerance and still be crystal controlled, as it were. So that might have been a modification you had to do to make it work on the transmit as well. But it could, and that would definitely help with your sideband tuning things in. It's just sometimes when it's trying to ping, it sort of sounds like your microphone is underwater. You are radio number 3, the Browning Golden Eagle. You are not that close, and that radio always sounds good coming into the net here. So thanks for bringing it by. Over. Yeah. Say over and unkey the mic.
You know, you refreshed my memory because couldn't get. I could listen, but I couldn't transmit up there. So up on the. Oh gosh, what is that? 27065? No, not 065. 365, I think it is. So anyway, whatever the lower side of 40 is, and that, yeah, I couldn't do it without messing with some crystals, I guess. But I did give it the old college try. But yeah, I think you nailed it. Anyway, okay, Dennis, thanks for checking it in. Back to you.
And thanks for bringing it by. I'm going to try the Jingle Singers again. See if we've got the cables. Probably not. See if we've got the cables good to go. And John, now I see that Popcom's final issue was in 2013. I'm sorry to hear that. That's long ago. That's how long ago I had the subscription. But I'm sure I've got shoe boxes or whatever size they fit full of Popcoms, maybe with little Post-its in them that mark the CB page. I'm trying to think where I was. Gosh, it was probably 30 years ago now. I think I was in the other radio room when I had the Popcom magazines. But, they're talking about the radios that we checked in from 20 years prior to that. So it should work out well. All right, let me go over to the other camera. We will keep our fingers crossed and see what happens when we go to the Jingle Singers on your old tube radio network.
Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you, wherever you are. Your favorite spot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
All right, it's getting better. Kind of working, but the whole point of that was to remind you just where you are on a Saturday evening. The Old Tube Radio Network here in Central California. 27085 is our channel, or our frequency, channel 11. So if you're listening in from afar, Colorado or British Columbia, like some of you are, Washington or elsewhere, you've got to really point that gizmochi beam here into the central part of California and see what happens. We are standing by and looking for radio number 4.
45.
I hear you, Paul. Over.
You got one ahead of us there. I can sort of understand it. There's one ahead of him.
Can you hear me on your receiver? Over.
I heard him. It squealed pretty bad. Maybe he's through.
Yeah, I am ready. I don't know if you've got a tunable receiver. I'll give you a little chatter. I know if it's crystal controlled or if you got a VFO or you need to tune something in. But if you can hear me, go ahead. Over.
I hear you just fine. Most of the things sounded all right. This is my general radio telephone, MC7.
Yeah, it's working. It's there. I hear a little bit of AC hum in the audio, so that could be indicative of some capacitors doing some things. And let's see, it's not letting me pull up the MC7 picture for some reason, so I will check on that. Try another transmission while I see if I can get our picture that we need here.
Okay. Anyway, has 9 tubes, 23 channels, TV crystals, and civil air control. This is 26620, and that's total channels. So 6 12-volt, 115-volt VAC. It's got it. Take all the voltage just about. So you tell when it was made. Back to you, Dennis.
All right, I found it. There it is. Yeah, a little different. I'm used to seeing the MC11A and the MC5. It's sort of a different front. Not as many knobs on it. Nice and clean. I really like the, I guess you'd call it brushed brass, brushed copper, just or aluminum, maybe just from the way the photo is. It's got the infamous green channel selector, and it does have all 23 channels. I wonder if this is their first time that they did that. Still going 6 volts, 12 volts, and 115 volts AC. That's interesting that they were still at this time in 1965. I think most manufacturers had dropped the 6-volt radio power systems, but not this one. It also has, of course, the Civil Air Patrol channel. And like all or most of the general radio telephones, their price point was just under $200. Back to you.
Yeah, that's pretty good price for the radio. But this one right here, this one they had out there in general for the microphone, if you had to replace it with the general microphone. They had that where you could change it over to a solid microphone, nothing like that. I'm sure it could be done, so I never had to try it. I just stayed with this thing. I don't know whether it sounds good or not. But it's a carbon microphone. Bang it on something, make it work a little bit better. Interesting. Back to you.
Interesting you should mention that. I would say if there's one issue with that radio tonight, and you will hear it when you listen in, is the amount of audio. You're probably 50% modulated. You're below the minus 20 LKFS, which is usually an indication that you're about 50% on the audio. But the audio sounds good. So whether it's a tube issue, it needs a little more amplification, and I'm looking to see if I have a tube complement for that, which I don't. I think those had maybe 7 or 8 tubes. Might have had 9 tubes. I don't know what the audio tube is in that. Or, like you mentioned, the carbon granules in the microphonium may be packed up a little bit too tightly, and you may indeed need to exert a little bit of shaking and rattling and rolling on the carbon microphone to break things up and add a little bit more punch to the audio. But I can hear you just fine. Back to you.
Okay. Well, I watched the meter before. I was running over 100% modulation on the thing, so who knows what happens in between. That's the joys of having the old radios. Anyway, thanks, Dennis, for checking it in.
Thanks for bringing it by. It's a pretty radio. And I went to the S-meter. Your signal is very similar to what it was with the Utica. So, another possibility is, and there isn't any movement at all on the meter, any forward movement or any movement any way. So that could be a sign of, low audio gain, or maybe the radio is over, the resting carrier is overdriven, perhaps. I don't think so, but sometimes that can happen. You've got the carrier set too high, and it will pinch off the audio just a little bit. But doing a good job for our radio number 4 tonight from General Radio Telephone, the seldom seen, but sometimes heard, especially if you listen to the old tube radio network, the MC7. Thanks for bringing that by. Over.
Thanks for checking it in. Yeah, it's a unique radio. It doesn't have a whole lot of things on the front. Plain, nice looking, very neat radio. Thanks for checking it in.
And the next one that General would put out after that would be quite a difference. That would be the Super MC8. And as you know, really changed things around with the modulation and the final tubes. Let me, while I've got the microphonium keyed and locked it down, do a little business here on the SWL side. 57, Mr. Brown Dog Audio has jumped into the green room and is saying hello from central Kentucky, I do believe, tonight. And let's see, under the weather. No, say it isn't true. Well, you know what to do. chicken soup and all that good stuff if you haven't already. And if I can find my SWL page so I can make it official before you head off into somewhere else. Let me put up the big 57 logo and say that you are checked in. So thanks for jumping by tonight.
77.
And speaking of jumping by, there is 77 on something that has sounded most excellent. We'll log you in as Radio 5 at 9:34. Go ahead.
Very good, Dennis. And yeah, a lot of great radios out there, all of them really sounding good into the Tower District tonight. Like you said, the rain, I think, really made a difference, washed everything clean, and boy, the signals are just coming in crystal clear, and the noise floor, well, next to none there. The old school bus, as they call it, the Cam 88 with the big grill in the front, and well, a whole bunch of crazy audio gear in front of it there. Go ahead.
The school bus, I like that. I'm going to check the Rolodex and see what our picture is. I think this is the one that actually shows the two radios, so that will work when I get the image on there. The audio is nice and loud. It's full fidelity. And you said you've got some audio gear, and that is something that we don't talk about too much because a lot of the stations run either a stock microphone or maybe a classic microphone, but these older radios, typically before the FCC designated that you had to have modulation clippers and limiters or filtering, just didn't have excessive amounts of that. So if indeed you had some type of audio processing, you would benefit from pretty much like a broadcast transmitter to do those things, and that's sort of what I'm hearing tonight on your Cobra. Over.
Well, yeah, that's that's a good way to go about it. We spent most of the day running wires and trying this and trying that, and I was kind of forced to do it this way because some are XLR, some are quarter-inch mic jack, and then of course the 5-pin DIN on the W2IHY EQ Plus. So between the Yamaha board, the EQ Plus, into an old tube Behringer preamp, and then managed to get it into the mic plug on the radio, and well, a couple of hours of this and that, and tuning and fiddling, and of course you taking the time to let me chew on your ear and find out if I'm going the right direction or not. Here we are. And boy, I tell you, I don't care what you put into this radio, it passes it right through the other end there. Go ahead.
Sure does. I'm looking at the Orban meter, and you're at, up in the 15 range. I sort of set everybody for anywhere from 18 to 16. And so you are loud, but no distortion, no flat topping, no excessive anything, just nice and loud items. I'm showing two pictures here, and I was scrolling up and down to see what the difference is in the Cobra Cam 88, and I see that one of the radios has, well, they both have a modulation light, which I'm sure in your case is, if it's working, is blinking quite nicely in the red, but the one of them has a switch underneath. I can't quite see. I'll have to go to the extreme close-up here. It looks like it says off. So I don't know. Do you have a switch under your modulation light?
Yeah, the earlier version did not have a Dynaboost, and that's what that switch is the Dynaboost underneath the modulation light. And I can flip that down, and that drops things a bit and kind of mellows things out, and I can throw that back up there, and it kind of makes things robust again. But yeah, the darn thing is boy, it's doing what it's supposed to. And we sure had a lot of fun hooking all this up and trying this, trying that, and getting it all to work. 11-tube radio, and this particular one was built in 1969. I looked up the numbers and whatnot on it. So she's been around for a little while, but she's still going strong.
Absolutely. That might have been one of the last Cobra tube radios. It really sounds good. Yeah, it makes a difference. Your switch is working great. It didn't crackle or pop when you switched it, and it's definitely doing what it's supposed to do. If you took it out, then you'd increase the audio out of your board, but it actually does enhance. It seems like it gives a little bit more, especially low-frequency fidelity, and working great. Also, we got a comment from somebody that says, that sounds superb. I agree. Dennis puts in a pretty good signal. He is close, but not that close, and he's at 20 over on the meter, so you're getting full quieting and full audio out of the Cobra Cam 88. Let me go back to the shot. I'm looking. Oh, okay. I was thinking the microphone was the quarter-inch plug, but it's actually a headphone jack, so the microphone goes right next to it. PA and CB. Well, get yourself a nice little, horn speaker for the PA, and I bet you sound good terrorizing the neighborhood when you switch it to PA over.
Good.
Yeah. Well, you can see why they call it the bus. It looks like the big grill or the front of a bus there. And I do have to say that what's in front of all of this, of course, is an Electro Voice RE320. So that kind of gives it a good start anyways, and then it goes from there.
A good start. Any of the dynamic microphones, we've heard carbon microphones sound good. Two things. The AM mode is always great for testing out any microphones because you've got that 6 kilohertz bandwidth, and the AM always kind of brings out the personality of the operator. You sound like you sound. What was that? Something explode here, and then of course, moving the microphones around with a radio like that gives you a full bandwidth. When you change microphones, if you've got something that you want a little more high frequency or low frequency, you can usually hear it, and that radio is definitely passing it on. The Cobra Cam 88, it really sounds good. I know you've been listening to some replays, but we've got it up on the video as well, and I think you will be pleased with the way it sounds, especially for those listening in. If you've got a Cobra or something like that, to think about if you've got your antenna systems working well and everything else, think about working on little audio enhancements. These radios will usually be very kind to you and do interesting things with not too much effort just going through the front of the microphone jack. You don't have to get in there and clip any capacitors or tweak anything like that. Give us another transmission. I think we've got another breaking station that would like to get in. The Jingle Singers ready to go, and a few comments on your old tube radio network. Back to you.
All righty, Dennis. Well, I sure appreciate you taking the time and everything you do. And I sure enjoy getting out here and just having fun with the radios. I do have to say the Super Penetrator at 56 feet does help with the signal. And good old antenna, man. I sure love that thing. And 73 is to all the listeners. And once again, I sure appreciate it, Dennis. We'll catch you later.
All right, thanks for bringing it by. I've got 37. You'll be the next radio, so step up in the air chair, but don't take a transmission just yet. And who was the other breaking station?
Break OTR.
That guy right there. You'll be radio number 7, over.
Okay.
All right, so Harvey is 7. Chris is number 6. Our next radio, I wanted to, find my comments page again and say hello to the Mighty Juliet Whiskey. John is checking in from Iowa. Also, Jimmy's saying we've got a picture of the Helicopter Factory. All right, I will see if I have that. The page is so new, I don't think I have it logged up on one of the computers here. but I will find it. Hello to Big Rich saying hello to the OTR family tonight. And it looks like I missed the latest possible new song coming in. I see there might be some possible new music from ETC. We'll talk about that later. Let me do the jingle singer. No, we're not going to do the jingle singer. We're going to go right to the radio. Hello, Chris. Over.
And hello, Dennis. And Dennis, that radio sounded good that you have over there right now. Anyway, this is SWL 37 Chris. We are going to check in my general radio telephone, my Super MC11A, the 24-channel version of this in here. And we are running this here with the original, I guess it's the original handheld stock microphone. No bells or whistles, no amps or anything behind it. What you hear is what you get. Hello.
Hello, radio. I'm not sure if it's warming up. It's going from its usual super awesome self to occasionally its awesome self to occasionally it's almost awesome self, but that last transmission at the end sounded like the Super MC11A that we have come to know. Back to you.
Well, let's see here. Hello. All right, I see it. Hello. Let me hang on just a second here. Let me try something. I don't know what. Let me see. But it dropped, didn't it? I don't know what's going on. Hello. Hello. There it goes. I got that time. I had done key and key. All right, that's what it is. The microphone wasn't making good connection. Over.
Yeah, it's definitely connecting now. So what do you look at on the radio? I don't see a modulation light. Do you get what we, very technically call the wiggle meter effect to check your audio?
Yes, and then I also got the a peak meter up here on top. Man, it's doing it again right there. I've got, what's going on here? There it goes. What's going on here? Something strange. Hello. There it is. Anyway, it's just. I look at the meter up above up here, the SWL watt meter peak reading thing, and I also keep an eye on the meter on the radio. For it does let me know. It seems like it's being kind of stingy for right now for some reason. Let me check something here. And then I got back there. I'm checking, make sure coax is good and everything.
Yeah, I think your coax is good because your signal is fine.
There, now it's there. Now it has real sound. It was. I don't know what's going on. Hello.
Blame it on the weather.
That's what it is. It's got to be. I'm not getting any modulation for some reason. Look here. Hello. Can you hear me, Dennis?
I can hear you, but audio is very weak over.
I can see that. I don't know what's causing that.
Well, sometimes it'll have an off night. We have a couple of stations tonight that are under the weather. Maybe it's just it doesn't like the change of season, but it can work, and I've heard it work tonight. So don't fret too much. It'll probably work better in the next episode.
I sure hope so.
And I think you are correct. There could be some bad contacts going on there.
Okay, it did that time. Hello. Anyway, I'll check it out. I'll figure out what's going on.
Okay, not a problem. We got you logged in as a Radio 6 tonight on the ever-popular General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. Thanks.
You bet, Dennis. And boys, working right there, swung all the way over. Okay, we're clear.
Yeah, it's nice to have a PEP meter or some type of a peak meter, especially on AM, of course. So you can check your audio. I'm going to try something here. There it is. Okay. Radio 7. Step up into the air chair, Harvey. We'll be right with you. I wanted to see if I can get this picture here that 34 sent in, which I believe he said is the Hallicrafters factory. Let me go back to my other Other page. Okay. Okay. Hallicrafters factory. That's hard to say. Factory in Chicago looks like it's gone through a recent rehab. So maybe it's in one of those designated zones. That's not bad. Brick building. Is that the close-up I can get? So they might have refurbished any logos on there, but pretty cool. So I bet my SX25 probably went through that building. My Hallicrafters CB11A, there's Fifth Avenue, probably went through that building. What else have I got? The FM1000, the HT37, and a host of others. Thanks, Jimmy, for that. That's a pretty interesting building. I don't know how long they were in that for, but it's good that maybe it will be repurposed for something, because it would be a shame to see it go away. Can you hear me, Harvey? Over. I think we lost SWL20. Hello, Harvey. Over. Well, you know what? Your transmitter's also dropped out a little bit too. Sounds a bit scratchy. I'll chat just a little bit if you want to bang on the radio or move your VFO or rock the channel selector for that possible crystal that has wiggled itself out of the socket. This is the Old Tube Radio Network. Back to you. Over. I hear your audio. Your signal is good. There is an AC hum in the audio, and the audio is distorted. How is that for a report?
Okay. Yeah, well, this is all a project kind of, getting everything set now.
All right, better, a little better, still a little distortion and a hum, but easily copyable. What type of radio are you going to be performing more surgery on?
Actually, it's just hooking everything up a little bit better. This is one of the buddy bases.
Ooh, all right. Yeah, I'll say that it's trying, but it's not happy. There's some trouble in River City somewhere.
Well, a lot of this is blown out to dust.
Yeah, and it has the sound like it wants to pounce. Like it wants to just like you heard Chris's radio, how it sort of broke out of its little crackly shell there and really sounded bodacious. Is that a word? Is that an 11-meter word? It's sounding really nice, and the buddy is sort of at that point.
I think it's a dirty relay. I kind of slap it a little bit, and things work a little better. I'll have to work on it. Clean it up.
All right. Well, it's certainly usable to check in as radio number 7. Yeah, I'm thinking if you're having trouble with the receive, like you said as well, that there is some contact issues. But the audio is coming through. I think the fidelity is going to be good. Your signal is good, so you are pretty much there. What is the model of the Buddy Bass? Over. All right, and if you want, I don't have the floor switch to fight with, but I do have everything else. I'll mosey over to the receiver here and give you a frequency check on your next transmission. Over. You have a frequency. You have a frequency counter. You are about 300 cycles high. Over.
Yeah. That's what it shows. I've got a nice frequency counter here. And it fluctuates a bit. But, yeah, a little bit high. Okay, I'll back out. I've got one more to do, but this is the one that you should be able to hear.
Yeah, it's got some punch to it. I was looking at the S meter, which isn't hard because it's this giant thing below me here on the video. And it is moving the meter with your audio. It seems like you are definitely a little bit better volume-wise, maybe clarity-wise, but not so much when you first popped in. So very good. Radio number 7 from Harvey, one of the soon-to-be resurrected, even better TX11B, RC11B buddy bases. It's not, your signal is not quite as bodacious, but as Mitch says, maybe it's mendacious. Over.
Okay. Yeah, every once in a while the receive jumps up. Yeah, I just have to clean the relays and do a whole bunch of stuff. This radio was sitting in the garage for about 3 years. Okay. I've got one more, and I need the address for that swap meet. You gave the name, Lions Automotive, but having trouble finding it. Anyway, the address would help.
Okay, and yeah, because if you have a, what do they call it, a Google map thing, because it's not quite on Gettysburg and it's not quite on Clovis Avenue. The address is 2944 Phillip Avenue in Clovis, but I believe you make a right once you go down up Clovis Avenue, and you make a right turn on Gettysburg, I think there's a lumberyard there or something. Then you look for Phillip, Phillip Avenue on your right side, which comes up fairly quickly, and then you make a right turn again, and then it'll be down the road again. But the address is 2944 Phillip Avenue in beautiful Clovis. Over.
Comment?
Philip has the name and the comment. Go ahead. I'm sure we'll get some better directions here.
Yeah, when you come up Clovis Avenue, you'll see 84 Lumber right there by Gettysburg. You'll hang a right there, and it's the first street. You hang another right, and it's down about a block on the right-hand side.
Transportation company or trucking and all that. Yeah. I know right where it is. Thank you.
And question to Harvey, is this the same radio that you checked in the same buddy you checked in a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. One of our astute SWLs. We have the best SWLs. They pay attention. Unlike me. Mentioned that when you checked in a couple of weeks ago, and we probably got it on videotape, right? That it did sound a little bit better. So sitting around has probably not done it some good, and you're probably correct in thinking you need to get in there and wiggle and clean. Over.
I can tell by the meter. It's just not being its basic buddy. But I might have to change the coax on it. I think I have another cable around here. I'll change the jumper on it, and we'll see what happens there.
Okay, and thanks, Dwayne, for picking up on that. We know it can sound better, and you are Radio 7. Also, hello to the mighty KUH. Brian is listening in from far off lands, and maybe even Sunday morning. Brian, I thought of you Oh, and I didn't listen in today. Somebody was selling a Drake. And it was close. It was close by. It was like, I could probably walk. I could probably walk over and look at that. A Drake L4B, which I think you said you had an amp like that. Touting how great it was, and with the, dual 3500Z. So, hello, Brian. Also, station listening in from Japan. Thank you. This is a nice video. Thanks for that. You're probably looking at the part that doesn't have me in it. So if that's the case, it is indeed nice. Thanks for listening. This is something we do every Saturday on the air. We're on the air here in Central California, 27085. So tune in your shortwave receiver and see if you can pick us up sometimes. We are looking for Radio 8. The Jingle Singers are, I want to try them again, but I don't have great confidence that they will sound good. But here we go anyway. You're listening to the Old Tube Radio Network.
You're listening in the latest style at
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio.
In wonderful
Fresno, California.
You know, I know it's happening. The Jingle Singers, such as they are, they've been with us such a long time, and they don't want to outdo the radio. So when a radio that comes in and it's a little bit maybe off frequency or scratchy, or it just isn't quite working as well as it could and as well as it should, I see the Jingle Singers sort of adapt their melodies so that the tube radio operator probably doesn't feel so bad that they sounded a bit scratchy as well. So they kind of matched our Jingle Singers. So my hat is off. I don't often praise the Jingle Singers like I should, but I will give them praise for thinking about our tube radio operators like that. That we are listening for radio number 8.
25.
And hello, Jerry. I'm so glad that I'm making it over. It's the rain. Everybody says it's rain. It is. Making over the giant giraffe there on Avenue 10 or Avenue 12.
Oh no, you're doing great, Dennis. And by the way, the Jingle Singers are sounding wunderbar. Anyway, real quickly, like to check in the General Radio Telephone. MC5 from beautiful downtown Burbank. Well, it used to be beautiful. I don't know what it looks like now. But downtown Los Angeles. Anyway, what do we have here? Okay, 5-channel transmit, VFO, and external slot for your secret frequency. If you have a buddy that has the exact same one, you guys can plug it in. But you both have to have that crystal. Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, that radio seems to be working good. Nice little radio, and talking on a Turner Plus 3B, so hopefully it's tuned in halfway decent. Over. Back to you.
It is talking halfway decent and then some at 9:59. The General Radio Telephone MC5, and you mentioned it is. I wonder what is happening in beautiful downtown Burbank, where the building where that radio was made. Jimmy 34 gave us hope that in Chicago, where they're perhaps revitalizing things. We got the picture of the Hallicrafters company there on 5th Street. That was refurbed a little bit. One can only hope that maybe the same thing has happened to the facility in Burbank where the General Radio Telephones were made, unless, of course, it succumbed to one of the off-ramps on the 405 freeway. Over.
Okay. Well, you're saying this is sounding a little weak tonight?
No, you're actually sounding good. We previously had a General Radio Telephone. What did we have? An MC7 that was okay, but I think your MC5 is actually doing a bit better than the MC7 tonight. It's sounding fine. I think the audio is good. It doesn't have the fuzziness like it used to, so you have done good. Over.
Oh, good. Well, maybe that's because I have a weak battery in this tuner, this Turner. And Chris, I know, boy, he was in and then he was out. Hopefully he gets his gremlins worked out on his General. But
anyway, that's a loud radio. He's always loud. So, anyway, okay, Dennis, thanks a lot for checking it in. And any other questions on this particular radio? Over.
Well, so you did a good job of giving us the words eye view for our listeners and viewers. You mentioned that it was had the possibility of the extra channel or frequency. The MC5 had the nice ceramic chrome plated electro voice microphonium. If you are using that, that would be, in fact, the picture shows it there. It is also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tubes, all that in 7 tubes. It will run 6 volt, 12 volt, and DC and 115 volt AC, which for 1962, I expected to do 6 volts. There's a schematic at oldtuberadio.com if anybody wants to go in there and check on that. It also sold for $199.95 in its final version of 1963. And I suppose for our fans out there of the Q-Bird, that if we let you get away without, let me put in the extreme close-up picture. There is a switch under the S meter called the tone signal, and we're going to ask operator SWL25 Jerry to perhaps enlighten us as to what that tone signal switch does when it's flipped into the up position. Back to you.
All righty, Dennis, I'll do that at your request. By the way, it's a spring-loaded switch, so the resting position is up. But as I push it down, this is what happens. Anyway, back to you.
It is a Q-Bird kind of evening as we get to the almost final issue of the Old Tube Radio Network. Thanks for that, and thanks for staying up late with us tonight and putting a few radios on the board.
Not a problem, Dennis. Thank you, and then we'll talk to you soon. Anyway, back to you.
This is the Old Tube Radio Network. Real radios glowing in the dark. We will try the Jingle Singers one more time with their famous jingle about being modern on the Old Tube Radio Network.
You're tuned to
OTR.
your dial reads
Channel 11,
right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us
Old Tube Radio.
and be modern.
And if it's out there, we're looking for Radio 9 as we do some counting and amounting.
How about one from the Radio Lounge?
Is the Radio Lounge still open? I know they start sweeping the floors and kind of turning the lights down at about 9:55, so it looks like we might be able to sneak in and hopefully not get the owner upset.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get the owner upset because I am the owner, and I'm definitely not upset. Definitely not while I'm using this radio for your listening pleasure, a Robin T123 with the Magic Eye tube, the 6RE13.
All right, I'm trying to locate that. You know, people are not seeing me struggle on the floor of the foot switch. They're seeing me struggle with the J38 key, trying to put that slide bar that needs some lubrication on it to get the lock to talk. There is, no, you know what? I am so sorry. I put the wrong, no, I haven't. Did I have the right radio? Yes, I do, because it is confirming that you should have a Magic Eye, or that I should have a picture with a Magic Eye, over.
Yeah, I don't, I don't need a Magic Eye for myself just quite yet, although I think I'm getting there pretty soon. But no, you know, it's funny. Out of all the exciting features of this particular radio, I think the thing right now that's kind of caught my attention isn't the radio itself, but I went running to the other side of the house to dig through my library just to find the Sam's Photo Fact for this particular radio. I haven't opened this thing in a long time. Incidentally, it appears as though it's number 35. I don't know how often or what kind of a run they did for this issue number 35. But this thing has been dated August of 1971. But I had forgotten that in this Sam's photo fact that I have here, right on page 95 where this radio is featured, I've got an old handwritten receipt, and it's kind of hard to see what it was written out for. I can tell you it was, whatever was done or purchased, it was done from Audio Horizons in North University, Peoria, Illinois. Something was purchased for $4.62, but it looks like at some other point in time, something that it might have been about $100. I don't know if these were new. They're not new tubes. A B&K 1827. Oh, that's a piece of equipment. I don't know if you know what a B&K 1827. That's a serial number. It says SN. That was $100. And some other things. It doesn't look like there was any work done on anyone's radio, and definitely not this one because the radio came separately from this photo fact. But great old reading. This is cool.
And from 1971, which jives with my information, because in 72, that's when they came out with, or swapped to the Panasonic chassis. Good, smooth audio. Just, I know you don't like to, really get in and modulate more than you need to. And that radio, and we were talking earlier about AM and how it enhances the personality of the operator and how you hear things. That is the perfect radio for your voice in the way you've got it set up. So don't get rid of that one.
Okay, I won't, but that's funny. I think you knew what I was going to do before I actually did it. I'm going to try and squeak a radio in that I definitely have to get into and scream into, which I don't like doing, especially at this late hour of the night. But I thought I'd get another Robin in there that I don't have a photo fact for. This is my Robin T123B, as in Bravo.
As in Bravo, not from 1971, from 1972 to 76. I will switch the picture live. We will say goodbye to the Magic Eye. Oh, maybe we will. There we go. We'll say goodbye to the Magic Eye, but hello to a bunch of many more little lights and dials. And I can't believe the tip of the pen just went flying off of this. It's always something. All right, now I have to find another pen. All right. I've never had that happen. The end of the ballpoint pen just broke and went flying off across the room. So there is the Robin T123B, and Dwayne was lamenting that Chrissy, SWL-10, had missed out on the 2, possibly 3 green radios tonight, and then you came up with yet another one. So I hope she is watching this video at some point in the future. Back to you for a transmission. Over.
Oh, good. Well, yeah, this one doesn't have a match guy, but as you were kind of referring to, it's kind of enchanting because unlike the other Robin, well, first and foremost, the other Robin does have a PA switch. So I guess if you had, an extra speaker hooked up, on top of your 67 Chevy van with a 3 in the tree and all that good stuff, you could flip that PA switch and tell all your friends that it was time to leave the 7-Eleven parking lot because the cops are on their way. But the 123 with the Magic Eye tube, it just has a switch, and that's it. Whereas this Robin that I'm on right now, the 123B, it's kind of cool because if you tag that PA switch, there's a little indicator lamp that lights up, and it's pretty cool. I can't tell what color it is right now because obviously it's not on,
probably yellow or something like that. I'm sorry. Actually, no, it's not. I think it's white, as a matter of fact. That PA switch is white. If you go up, there are 3 lamps just to the left of the speaker. So I guess the bottom one, I'm sure you probably have a picture of it up right now, but bottom one looks like it's the PA lamp. It's probably white. Go one more level up, and we've got the modulation lamp, which it is kind of fun to look at. It's with this unamplified original mic. It's not doing a whole lot. And then I guess the other cool thing, if you decided to hook up an external speaker, you could tag that external speaker button on the radio to select it, obviously, and the third and final little extra indication lamp would light up. That's the one that's yellow. So pretty cool. I've used the switches just to see if the lights would light up, and they did. I haven't used either of those 2 features, but maybe someday.
Well, they're ready to go when you are ready. It seems like in your little parts box, I don't know what type of lamp you would need, but you're going to have a few light bulbs, a few lamps for replacement. Probably the standard 12 volt, I don't know, was it number 67 or 64, something like that. Obviously, they're not neon and they're not LEDs, and I'm assuming they're just a regular clear or a frosted lamp in behind the colored overlay. All right, great description on that. Robin, T123 Bravo, which the chassis interior-wise was shared by, maybe 4, 5, 6 other radios for that 4-year period from 72 to 76 when 23 channels were very passé. And then they had to skedaddle to figure out how to get 40 channels so that people wouldn't stop buying stuff, even though they kind of did. That's why we like the old Tube Radio Network, because our Tube Radio operators can help us relive the good old days, as we are doing tonight. Great audio on that one. It doesn't have quite the punch, but it's still good. Don't think I'm making bad comments about the 123 audio. It is, or 123B. It's still working just fine, and I think the range expand helps with that one. People have complained before about the little dinky supplied stock microphonium with that, and yeah, sometimes it helps if you have, the extra special microphone to go into it. But otherwise than that, we never frown on a radio that comes in all stock. Did you get us to double digits? I think you did, yes. Radio number 10. Thanks for that one. Over.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for letting me check it in. Everyone sounds great on both these radios. I've kind of been flip-flopping back and forth. I do have a quick question to ask. I know you brought up the fact that this has the range expand button, which I'm not going to harass it right now, but it is turned on. But there was a Cobra Cam radio, I think it was, that was checked in a short time ago that had some sort of a switch like that. I don't think it was called range expand. It was something else. But I'm just curious. So it was a Cobra Cam, I believe, that was checked in. And obviously, you can still purchase Cobra CB radios at your finest TA shops along the highways in California. Is that the same company? Is Cobra actually, after all these years, are they still in existence?
I want to say it's the same company in some form, because they said B&K, Dynascan, Cobra, it was sort of all melded together. And in my little mystery box of stuff that I picked up a couple of weeks ago, there happened to be a Cobra 29 in there. So I think that was the first Cobra when they started doing the 29, the XLT, and the ABC or whatever. Because it's 23 channels. So I think it's from 1974 or 75, something like that, and this is 72. So it was the mobile solid-state versions as they were phasing out their other Cobra. So yeah, I think it's this. I believe it's probably the same thing. I don't know if they call it B&K, but I believe it's a Cobra and a Cobra, and they like to put numbers, 88s and 98s and 29s and 19s. So I think they're keeping that part of it the same. Over.
Well, I think that's spectacular, and of course the first thing that comes to mind is how. And I feel kind of bad saying this. How can a CB company remain in existence, all this time? Number one, it's got to be an extremely small company that's manufacturing things overseas, or it's got to be just part of a mega business that's well diversified in what they're selling. What I don't know. I'll get out of here, but I don't know if you want to make a comment about what exactly they're manufacturing. That's kind of curious.
That is a good. I guess I should be transmitting if I'm talking. That is a good question. I don't know if they're a subsidiary. It's like we're Cobra and we do this, and people still want to buy CB radios, and we change. You adapt with the times. All right, here, let me see. I'm on the fly here, seeing if wherever I just clicked onto is actually going to. I think I've got a broken link that is not going to take me to where I want to go. Here we go. Company history. Cobra Electronics Corporation designs and markets consumer electronics products like cordless telephones, there you go, telephone answering machines, there you go, citizen band radios, and car stereos. Its products are built to specification by manufacturers in East Asia. Hint, Cobra was founded as Dynascan in 1961 by electronics engineer Carl Korn. That's Carlkorn. Thank you, Carl Korn, who served as president, and Samuel Horberg, Horberg, who became a chief financial officer. Mr. Horberg, the CFO. The two had worked together in the electronics field since 1947. Hey, I wonder if they have a building that's running down. And they formed another company in 1954. Dynascan initially sold electronics testing equipment like oscilloscopes and television testing equipment. It soon added a limited range of remote-controlled materials handling tools under the brand name Telemotive. So don't throw away that Telemotive stuff you've got. And when you go to the next garage sale and there's a Telemotive for 10 cents, pick it up, even if you don't know what the heck it is. They were used to operate cranes for mining, construction, and shipping. The U.S. government, I'm taking an old Buzzard transmission. If you see smoke pouring up in the background, kind of tap on my shoulder. The U.S. government delegated radio spectrum for a citizen band in 1958. We all know about that. And in 1963, Dynascan took advantage of the new market by bringing out its first citizen band radio. CBs were still an obscure medium. No, they weren't. Used by some hobbyists and truckers. No. Yes. You couldn't be hobby, right? But truckers were okay. Dynascan initially manufactured its own CB radios, but switched to importing lower-priced, doggone it, models manufactured by two Japanese companies, Toshiba and Uniden. And there it is. Toshiba and Uniden, that is what kept everybody in business, because they're all the same radios. In 1971, and around the time CBs became more popular with the wider public, Dynascan's Cobra brand CB radios caught on, propelling the company to sales of $13.8 million in 1973 to sales of, here we go, $102 million in 1976, with gross profits of $15 million. Not bad for CB radios, or the company, I guess. Part of the popularity of CB radios proved to be a fad. Oh, don't say. You don't say. However, and just as the fad was fading, the Federal Communications Commission abruptly increased the number of channels CBs could use from 240 from 23. Overnight, 23-channel CB radios became obsolete, and Dynascan was caught with a large inventory that no one wanted. A large number of other CB manufacturers suffered from the same conditions, and several went out of business. But Dynascan, hey, they knew what you were asking. Here's the answer to your question. But Dynascan sold its inventory through dealer promotions and could rely on earnings from its other equipment and tools to carry it through the crisis. The firm moved to lessen its dependence on CBs. It introduced a line of sound products for cars that included speakers, amplifiers, stereos, and cartridge and cassette players. Dynascan's engineers designed these products after thorough market research. The products were then manufactured in East Asia, and the firm's products had good reputation and were considered higher quality option to lower priced competing products like, the Radio Shack. Hey, I'm just reading. I'm not making a statement here. Like the Radio Shack and Realistic lines manufactured by Tandy. The firm sold its Cobra products via two-step distribution network composed of 90 wholesale distributors who in turn sold to up to 100,000 local outlets. The Cobra line of audio products accounted for 74% of 1977 revenues. The other 26% came from the firm's industrial products. I'm going to take a unkey here to make sure that I'm still transmitting, and there is just a little bit more to go if anyone is still interested. Over.
Break, Dennis.
The break, Dennis, go ahead.
Is this sounding anything better now?
It is sounding anything a lot better. Is that the Buddy bass? It can't possibly be.
Well, it's an amplified mic, and it was sitting for several years, and the battery was 1.36 volts. So I put a new battery in the mic.
It sounds like a new radio. It's like when you see the net controller and he is just wearing his shabbily everyday clothes, and you think, that poor guy, but at least I'll talk to him. And then he comes into the air chair, puts on the tie, the official OTR shirt, and the seersucker jacket, and you think, whoa, who is that handsome gentleman? That's what your radio has just done.
Okay. Oh, yeah, look at the meter. I love that. Okay. It's doing what it almost should with the antenna that it's got. Okay. Now, that had me stumped for a while until I realized it's been sitting for several years. So always check the battery. And, 1.36 volts. Anyway, I'm surprised it even worked. Okay, I got one more to do. Go ahead and finish your reading, and I'll be back on the other one.
Okay, now what about, there was a receive issue. Is that still happening, or was that on a different radio?
It's kind of cleared up, but I did take the transmitter, which has the relay in it, turn it upside down, and look around in there. I'll still have to clean the relays, and I did notice an AC hum, so I'll have to check the electrolytic. It was sitting in the garage and several summers of the heat. I'm surprised the D104 is okay, because instead of taking it in the house, I left it in the garage with the radio. Well, mistake. Okay, I'll be back on another one to finish up.
All right, I'm even surprised it had enough current to modulate before that. It sounds great. If there's an AC note, it's very, very minimal, and it's crystal clear. It has the good fidelity. And isn't it great when it's just a simple thing? And Dwayne is saying much better, and I think we are all agreeing.
Okay. I'm trying to think who it is that lives near me now. He'll know, because I should be coming in fairly strong. Anyway, on this Buddy Bass speaker, which isn't the correct one, but does have the correct on the air light, it's at least a 10 to 11 inch speaker. It's a woofer, and it's about 11 inches across and about 6 inches deep, with a little with a hole in the back, kind of set for a bass reflex type deal. Anyway, he just sounds super awesome on this speaker. Well, you all sound good, but he's just like super awesome.
Maybe because he is. You know what Mr. Rogers says? We like you just the way you are. Super awesome or not. Well, good. And I wish people would realize that putting an external speaker on your radio is always a nice thing, especially if you've got like a little bottom fire 2-inch whatever, or wearing some headphones, because then you will hear the full fidelity that we try to pass along on our audio here on OTR, where we take the audio directly out of the AF part of the radio and give it to you in compressed MP3, but it should be as awesome. So good deal. All right, do your thing. I'll take a break. It is late. I know a lot of people have had to drop off, but maybe they'll watch the video. So thanks, Harvey. I'm glad you came back and solved the mystery.
Oh, yeah. And it had a 6146 final, and I thought because of the noise it was making, it might be that. So I stuck in what I was going to put it in anyway, a 6293. Now, I could detune this thing and talk on it. I mean, keep the key down for an hour. Well, not really. And I would not flatten out that 6293. So I've got a bunch of them, and they're all going in the buddies and other radios that take 6146s. You can talk all day and all night for a week with those two. Okay, back in a bit.
Yeah, 6146 is a nice tube. The FT102 over here has not one, not two, but three of them. And it is just a great talking little radio. I can't remember what the driver is, probably a 12BY something. Okay. Are there any other stations that want to get in? I've got two more paragraphs. If anybody's interested, I've got about two more paragraphs on the Cobra Dynascan story, and then it goes into probably some more advertising in the 80s. But we'll keep it up to the 70s. Should we continue with Dynascan here for two more paragraphs?
I'd love to hear that.
Okay, and thanks, Harvey, for the update. All right, let me continue on. We're talking about the Dynascan. We had gone up all the way through. It's 1947, and Herberg and Korn, I think the guys' names were, and all their various products. 1963, they decided to get into the CB thing. They were lucky, got caught up into the CB boom. Did quite well. We're at 1979. So as you know, things are kind of crashing in the CB market, but they're diversified. In 1979, Dynascan introduced another important product, cordless telephones. They were pretty smart, those Korn guys. Like CB radios, they were still something of a novelty item when the firm introduced them, but demand soon exploded. Dynascan aggressively sought market share for its Cobra telephones and earned $17 million in 1983. On sales of $173 million. In 4 years, the firm's stock rose to 35 from 3.5, making it worth $165 million. Once again, the fad came to an end. Cordless telephone sales in the United States plunged from $850 million in 1983 to $325 million in 1984. Once again, caught with a large inventory, Dynascan lost $31 million in 1984. They don't give you the stock prices then. The firm had to borrow large amounts of money to remain solvent. It postponed raises and froze hiring for 6 months. As a result of these boom and bust cycles, Korn, remember Carl Korn, rethought the firm's priorities and decided to focus on merchandising rather than manufacturing because it imported products from Asian manufacturers. The company's, this is a really good synopsis. I'm glad you made me look for it. The company's investments lay in inventory and receivables rather than the high-end fixed costs of owning a factory. Korn forced out the firm's president Frank DeLeo, and in April 1985 replaced him with Jerry Kalov, a turnaround specialist who was signed, it sounds like they're coming corporate now, who signed They're getting cutthroat, doggone it, who signed a 10-year contract. That was Kavlov, right? Okay. Kavlov had already saved the speaker company, JBL Incorporated, in the 1970s, as well as the stereo maker Jensen International Incorporated. Dynascan began a 3-year plan geared towards profits rather than sales volume. And I will leave it there in 1985 when they become this cutthroat company that just cares about profits, but they're still going strong. So that's what you have to do. That's what you got to do, I guess. The old Tube Radio Network, we've never done that. We've never been cutthroat. We've never cared about profits, as you can tell by the Costco credit card just being. I don't even want to look at the bill. But anyway, there you go. I'm glad you asked.
That's just unbelievably fascinating and. Probably one of the best bedtime stories I've heard in a long time, although it's well, I guess it is a story. It's a true story. That's incredible. I don't know where you found that information out, but thank you for sharing it.
All right. Well, I'm not articulate enough to make it up on the fly, and this was, I guess we should give credit since we're on the air here. This is from fundinguniverse.com. Company histories. Electronics Corporation history. So thank you, Funding Universe, courtesy of Funding Universe. A public company. Okay. Oh, here's the thing. The address, a little bit more. The address was 6500 West Cortlandt Street, Chicago. There's Chicago again. Illinois, 60635, USA. There's a telephone number. Public company incorporated in 1961 as Dynascan. Employees 239, sales 82.1 million, stock exchanges. They're on the NASDAQ. What is their thing? What's their the 3-letter thing? Probably, I don't know, COB, who knows? And then it goes on to other stuff. So there you go.
My turn.
Your turn over. This is the old Tube Radio Network.
Okay. Let's check in this Browning Golden Beagle R68T68 from Browning Lavatories, the Mod B, according to what's on the back of the transmitter. Transmitter has the on-air light, not the spot, and then the receiver has the RF gain control, not the 3-position switch. And it's got a unamplified D104.
Sounding good. And you've told me many times, and I've forgotten, but this is not, this Mod B, and it sounds good, by the way, is not the same as the Browning Golden Beagle R68, Browning Lavatories, Browning Golden Beagle R68 T68 over.
Well, you can have more than one Golden Beagle, but this is the Mod B. The other one, I would have to assume, was the first one that came out. It had the spotlight on the transmitter. It does not say Mod A. And the receiver has a 3-position RF gain type switch. Anyway, that's the model that most people seem to have. And this combination is the oddball one that is hard to find. But I happen to get lucky and find this one. So, there you go. And I can't remember if I found the transmitter separate from the receiver. But this is the other model, and on the back of the transmitter, it says Mod B.
Got it. Because it sounds very similar to the other one. I guess I phrased my question right. I just wanted to confirm that this physically was not the same radio that you would normally check in on or have been checking in on in the R68 T68 mode.
No, it's not the same one. That one is in storage right now because there's no room for it in here right now. There will be. I'll have both of these in here eventually. Excuse me, so I could go back and forth between them. That one used to sound the same all the time, but I got tired of taking the D104 out of the room when it was hot, to save the head of the D104, and I think eventually it started to really go bad. So I put another cartridge in it that was real good, but the tone is slightly different. So it doesn't give quite as sweet a ping as it used to, but it still does. And you are able to tell the difference between the two pings, between this one and that one.
The astute SWL can do that, like bird watching, where you can tell the crested nuthatch from the mourning dove just by the song. If you're a consummate tube radio operator, you can tell the difference between the pinging of the R68 Mod None and the Mod 2. So my hat, if I had one, would be off for you. All right, and I will add that as Radio 11, which I haven't done, but I will do. So thanks for adding that to the list over.
Yeah, I can't get that real high-pitched ping. I'm going to experiment with different heads on these microphones, and I'll find one that I can do it with. Could be the speaker, though. So the speaker obviously has something to do with it. Okay, I'll let you go. Hi there, Mike, and then I'll catch you next week.
All right, maybe we will have the first old tube radio ping off, and we'll have our listeners and operators vote for their favorite squeal. All right, thanks for Radio 11, the Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68 Mod 2. It is very late. It's very late here on the West Coast. It is early now on the East Coast. Thanks for hanging out late with us tonight, or watching the video, or on Channel 11, doing whatever you do. And are there any other stations that would like to check in before we try to sign out?
Number 7.
Oops! Something went crashing on the floor here. What was it? Is this the mouse? All right. I didn't break anything. Hey, number 7, you're Radio 12. Go ahead.
Well, go ahead and add one more. Browning Mark III SSB.
I will do that. The onslaught of Browning Laboratories here at the end, I think... I guess I don't have to play the Browning Eagle song tonight. Or maybe they knew that I was going to. But the Brownings are sounding good. Give us another transmission. It sounds great. And if I can find a picture, I'll put one up. But we all kind of know what it looks like.
There you go. The Golden Eagle SSB with the Golden Eagle Static D104 gold-plated limited edition bicentennial type microphonium.
And sounding quite nice. And here's a company way different from Cobra that was doing a couple of things and really didn't farm themselves out to diversity, and kind of said, this is what we do it really well, but we can't do it anymore, so we won't do it. So sometimes that's what you have to do, but boy, they made a great product. Sounding good.
And thank you, OTR. With that, we'll sit back and listen for the last of the show.
Okay, and I'm still wondering if the Jingle Singers will be able to do anything with their bad cable. First, let me click on something here to see if I did this right. I missed the picture that Jimmy had earlier. There it is. Let me go to the building in Chicago that is, or was, or still is, it's still there, but it was the Hallicrafters building. And here's the close-up shot for those watching the video, whenever you're watching it, of the lowercase h that was still on the building after all those years. And you can kind of see it's an outline. It's sort of this brick red peeling paint, rusty color, but there's a badge or a plaque, and you can see the outline of the lowercase h. I wish I can't really grab it up without breaking anything, but next time we do this, I'll show you what the H should look like. But there it is. Thanks, Jimmy, for that. I found the right photo. So if it's Chicago, it must be Radio History fan book. I will be back in a moment, and we will count an amount and get the heck out of here. You are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network. And I don't know what it is. I'm still looking for the foot switch, but there is going to be a better way to figure out the J38 key. But I'm glad it worked. I at the last moment found some old cable. I think this is it's like a 5-wire telephone cord. It's got the green, yellow, red, and blue, and connected it to the J38 key and wired up an RCA jack and back into the end of the radio it went. So the jingle singers are going to try. No, it's Mr. Announcer. It's Mr. Announcer and the orchestra are going to try to give us the fanfare. Here we go.
This is the Old Tube Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, stand by. It's time now for the current OTR totals.
All right, the current and final OTR totals of the evening for this episode on November 7th, 2020. Just a reminder that the official net will probably start an hour later next week. So that's 9 p.m. That's going to be midnight elsewhere if you're not close by. And that's sort of a promise I hope to keep. Probably what I'll do is I'll have the audio stream up and running so that those who are not in the sound of the RF area can tune in and see what's happening on channel 11, if anything. Tonight, I apologize, and I did not do a tube count tonight, but I bet with 12 radios we were well over 100 tubes, especially since a couple of them were Brownings. In the SWL department tonight, we had a total of 66. That was 17 on page 1, 16 on page 3, 13 on page 16 on page 2, 13 on page 3, and 20 on page 4. And radios tonight, we had 12. The most heard manufacturer, if you stayed up late enough to listen to the last part of the net here, you probably know that the Browning Eagles came on strong with 3, and that was the top dog tonight. Well, everybody's a top dog, but they were the most heard manufacturer. General Radio Telephones at 2. We had a couple of Robins. Started off with the Tram TR-27E from Ed, way back at 9:07. The Utica Town and Country 2. Good signal in from Paul tonight for radio number 2. The Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB, the first one we had tonight from Jerry, was Radio 3. Radio 4 was the General Radio Telephone MC7. Don't hear many of those. We get a lot of 5s and 11s, but the 7, nice-looking radio. I like that. It's not real cluttered, but for $200 back in the day, what a deal. Radio 5, Mr. 1017 on the Cobra Cam 88. Doing the audio thing. The radio does its own audio thing. So again, if you want to enhance it, doesn't take too much with either the microphonium of your choice or add a little compression and limiting and equalization, and then take a look at that REA meter and see how your positive peaks are doing quite nicely, I would bet. Radio number 6 was Chris on the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. Followed by Harvey on the first voyage, Radio 7 of the Buddy Base TX11B, RC11B, with all of less than 2 volts of battery voltage. Probably not a lot of current going on there. I'm surprised that we even heard you at all. But for those who fast forward the videotape here, right, then get the updated version when the battery is changed. What a difference. What a difference a few more volts can make. Radio number 8, Mr. Sidekick on his general radio telephone MC5. Actually, I take that back. I've made a mistake, which is not uncommon for the general, for the net controller here. I see that there are indeed 3 general radio telephones checking in tonight. So there is a tie. The Brownings thought maybe they could sneak one over on the generals, but no. So 3 generals and 3 Brownings, thanks to that MC5 for Radio 8. The Robin T123B. We got one more Robin. It would have been a 3-way tie. Mike on the Robin T123 and Radio 9, and the Robin T123B for Radio 10. Radio 11 was Harvey on the Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68 Mod 2, and he followed that up. Or that was followed up by Ed on his Browning Golden Eagle Mark III. SSB, what didn't we do tonight? It's long, but I've got to. Let's see. I'm going to bring up for the SWLs. Let's see if there's anything happening on 75 meters in the AM portion late night. Nothing. Not much audio either. Everybody says it is late. I heard the bands weren't that great. 75, even Ed was saying 75 wasn't great. There's some noisy stations on 39, 3.930, up to 40 meters. Let's see the DX. Anybody's shooting DX down.
We always see that. There'll be a peak and a null, there'll be a bad period.
I recognize that voice. That's the voice of Mike Stahl from M Squared. Talking on his probably 3 or 4 element 40 meter beaming the Pacific. 7164, the voice of Mike Stahl. Not sure who he's talking to, but I guarantee you we won't hear him on the vertical. So SWLing, things are going on the ham bands tonight. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight, the Old Tube Radio Network. Thanks to SearchLawrence.com and Frodix for the Nixie tubes. I don't know if we're going to be able to solve the problem on the comments, because I think they're tied to Facebook, and Facebook isn't liking that kind of stuff. Again, I will be maybe starting the net at 9 p.m. next week, because I have another engagement on FM radio. And for those in the local Central California or Central Valley area, there will be, I guess it's still on, and that is the swap meet on Saturday the 14th in the morning at 8 a.m. over at Lyons Automotive. It's still scheduled to go. I don't know. I'm assuming that some type of face coverings might be required. And if it's raining, maybe they'll put it inside. Good night, everybody, from the Old Tube Radio Network.
Dennis?
This is the basic Dennis, over.
Okay, the Buddy Bass has 13 tubes in the receiver and 5 in the transmitter. Now, my transmitter is only using 4 tubes. I have a diode pack instead of the 6AX5. So, anyway, just to let you know, 13 in the receiver and 5 in the transmitter.